completion. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us today at Greenlight Consulting's first live webinar, where we will be talking about how you can transform your testing with AI. This webinar is presented in conjunction with UiPath. Let's go here. All right, so the genesis of this webinar was related to an uptick of application testing inquiries and clients wanting to learn more about how AI is being incorporated within UiPath. So we huddled internally, called our UiPath partners, and hopefully came up with some content that will help start conversations on how you can transform your own testing strategy. So this is not going to be 25 slides and just a 5-minute demo. We have a lot to unpack with the demo portion of this webinar, and we want to get right into it. So I'll go ahead and introduce the speakers you're going to be hearing from today. Myself, Lester Mendoza, Director of Customer Growth at Greenlight Consulting. We have Mike Butchram from UiPath Test Suite Sales Specialist, Brian Foster, Test Suite Principal Sales Engineer from UiPath, also from Greenlight Consulting, Yefi Awal, our Quality Analyst, and Ravni Arora, our Senior Business Analyst. Thanks everyone for joining. Okay. All right, so why test automation? So everyone here today has their own reasons for attending this webinar, hopefully. You may have some familiarity with and shared frustrations with other legacy testing tools. You might be a UiPath client, but focused on delivering automations and really never have time to investigate this capability. And you may be just interested in any webinar that has AI in the title. So that was just marketing for us. And then you're curious to what UiPath Test Suite can do for your organization. Ultimately, we all share similar strategic goals of test automation with AI capabilities. And this graphic right here references those items. For me, I found that the impact to your manual testing team can be just as amazing because these teams are being rejuvenated with new skill sets. Today's testing team, though, face various challenges as they try to keep up with regression testing and tight timelines. There's a list of them here, and some numbers for you to digest. But testing is costly. The manual testing, I've been involved, I've seen it, is very tedious. Creating test data is very time consuming. Organizations want to release more frequently, but they don't have that ability. You have to sometimes hire folks with specialized skill sets just to perform and manage testing. You're using multiple tools and legacy tools. So all of these things combined together cause some challenges for testing organizations. But one of the things I want to double click on is Mike's expertise in regards to what he's seeing in the industry as testing challenges for finance. So Mike, if you could just expand on that, what you're seeing.
Yeah, in terms of challenges, we see a lot of problems with technical debt that's been built up with existing solutions, the expense of those approaches. So we end up working on the platforms themselves, the core apps. Any deprecated tools are often good options to look at, as well as any transformation projects that are going on in the space. Specifically, we're seeing interest around CI, CD, and DevOps transformation. So, a more complete linking of continuous testing to those pipelines. We're seeing interest around governance, risk management, and compliance, where our production footprint's a real game changer, where we can actually bring that compliance support, do the automated confirmations, collect evidence, and then continuously testing and linking to requirements for reporting. So real game changer there. Also including a lot of the legacy technologies for end-to-end, which just wasn't possible before. Because with our approach, we've got one skill set that is useful for people that are used to doing coding, business analysts, citizen developers, with the combination of the coded workflows and the low-code, no-code traditional approach. Plus our footprint in production, leveraging all your assets from production to do testing, or any new features that are developed in lower environments. New features can actually be deployed to production to do real work. So we see a lot of interest specifically around fins in implementing this technology.
Okay, good stuff. And then obviously the question everyone has is how can AI improve testing? And we're going to go through that in detail. But what I've seen in the market and what others have seen is that there's a lot of AI assistants that are accelerating all areas across the software development lifecycle. So developers are getting a lot of their code reviewed, created for them so they could deliver code faster. So you need a tool that can keep up with that pace. And AI will allow you to do that within Test Suite. So we will demonstrate how AI improves your testing with expanded coverage, accelerating your build and execution, data generation, and predictive analysis in the demo. And then I wanted to talk about the Test Suite architecture. It's important to mention that Test Suite is just one of the many capabilities available on the UiPath platform. When we drill down the architecture, you will see the main components that are included. So I wanted to let Brian talk to this slide.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to architectural components, one of the great things about Test Manager, as Mike mentioned earlier, is that it leverages what we have had in existence within UiPath for a long time, which is the core of our RPA. Test Manager is a standalone application component that is an add-on to the platform itself. With that, you get all of the following. So from a studio build out perspective with the IDE, we can interface with old legacy style systems that you may already have in regards to technical debt. If you're using Appium for mobile based testing, Postman for API testing, maybe you have pre existing Selenium scripts, maybe you have Python or Java or C# code that you've written for old testing frameworks. We can use all of that. So it's not a rip and replace that you might experience in a traditional. Again, you can continue leveraging that stuff, which is great because, again, you're not throwing stuff away. You just continue leveraging it and then migrating it how and if you need to in the future. As Mike again mentioned, CI/CD, we have out-of-the-box integration capabilities with platforms like Azure DevOps, Jenkins, GitLab, Git Actions. So moving into a full-scale CI/CD capability to incorporate testing is very easy to do within the platform. You also have your orchestrator, which is where you can go in and you can schedule all of your runtime events. Think of orchestrator as a scheduler, more or less. The robots are the agents of execution. So those are the tools that go in and actually execute the test cases for you. The other thing that I'll call out is our connectors. So with our Test Manager Connect, we have the ability to be able to integrate with 50 plus different tools out of the market. Think platforms like ServiceNow, Jira, Digital AI's Agility platform. There's just a plethora of tools, and those are all included in the platform. So when you have defects that come up, we can very easily send that information over into Jira. Again, it just expands the automation. And then, as Mike mentioned, one of the things that is my favorite about the whole platform is that we can do all of your testing from end to end. So from those super old legacy platforms like mainframe, Citrix enabled applications, thick client desktop applications, homegrown web apps, and then more importantly, SaaS and COT style solutions like SAP, ServiceNow, Salesforce, and all of those applications are notorious for having shadow DOMs, embedded iframes. This platform can work on all of those. So from an architectural standpoint, Lester, that's really a great overview. We can move on.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, so here we are, only 6 slides later, and we're about to enter the demo. So as I mentioned, there's a lot to unpack, but we're hoping to illustrate how AI is incorporated via various roles throughout the test suite lifecycle. We're going to go through the following phases: define, design, automate, execute, and analyze. And as the speaker goes through these sections, we're going to touch on different topics. So within define, we're going to be talking about the test manager and creating test cases and requirements with autopilot. For the design, the key items here, well, they're all key, but generate test cases with autopilot, object repository generation with AI. For automate and execute, going through the data queues and the actual execution, and then analyzing the logs and the results with AI and going over the dashboard that you'll interact with. So without further ado, I want to hand off to Ravneet to start the demo. So let me just start sharing so Ravneet could jump right into it.
Great. Thank you so much, Lester. Good afternoon, everyone joining in today. Let's get started with the overview of Test Manager. So, what is Test Manager? Test Manager is a platform which offers the robust test management solution, and it can integrate with multiple tools, as Brian mentioned, but also will support multiple test frameworks and your reporting capabilities. So now I'm going to show you how we can create different projects on Test Manager. So as you can see, this is the home page. We can create project by clicking the create new project button, enter the project name, enter the prefix and the description. Please note that the prefix here is very important because that will remain with you through all the life cycle of your project, and it will help you identify your test cases and test sets which are associated with this project. So for this demo purposes, I've created some tiles just to highlight here that you can create as many projects you want. Every project can equate to a business unit. You can define and give right accesses and permissions as you desire so that you have the right audience for your right project. For the demo purposes, I'll go into this test manager GL demo. So as you can see, I've entered the project, and this is where you can create your multiple requirements test cases and follow on. I'll quickly go and navigate to the requirements and talk about here. So as you know that the test managers can support the synchronization from requirements like external tools, but it can also help you design your own requirements within Test Manager. So for creating the net new requirement, you can click on the create requirement button. You can enter your requirement name, the description, and can add labels to identify your requirements. As you can see, I've created few requirements. This is the flexibility of Test Manager that you can write as basic requirement as you want, but you can also go in and add more and more end-to-end detailed requirements. The benefit for adding detailed requirements would be that these requirements can help you lay the foundation for creating the AI assisted test cases, which is an add-on feature that test suites provide. This could be very beneficial for business analysts and quality analysts, and they could speed up the test case design process and help them lay the foundation of writing a test case. So I'll show you an example here. So if we have this requirement, which I've already entered, the requirement has all the details. It's an end-to-end flow. I can create on the generate test button, click on it. I can add all the supporting documents which are relevant to this project. Maybe the process design document, maybe some screenshots about the application which the requirement has the details on. And I've added some test case writing instruction that could help my AI to write the right test cases for me. Moving on, I could click on the next button. I can select the prompt. Now they have some in-due prompts here. It's like end-to-end flow, or if you have to have some rapid test idea generation. So for this demo, I'll click on the end-to-end flow. And as you can see, they have some existing prompts for you. You can add more ideas to it, or you can remove some ideas if you want. And I can click on the generate test button. So it will take some couple minutes, and you will be notified via email that your create test cases were ready. Now, if I click on this generated test cases, now you can see that it has created 10 test cases for me, which could be my foundation layer for test cases. Now, I can select the test cases. I can combine multiple test cases or even ask AI to regenerate the test cases for me if I need more and more polishing on those. So this is the feature where I'm talking about that how AI can empower the business analyst and quality analyst and help them write test cases more quicker and more efficiently. Now to grill on with the AI benefits of actually creating the test cases in UiPath Studio, I'll pass it on to Yafi for further deep dive analysis. Yafi, on to you.
Thank you, Ravneet, for the great presentation and showing us how business analyst team can really leverage this and fast track their process. So as Ravneet said, now we will go into how testing team can leverage this as well. So just let me know by a thumbs up or anyone from my team that you can, I'm clear with my audio as well as my screen is visible to you for this interesting section.
Yep, good to go.
Thank you. All right, so let's start the most exciting part. So if business team can leverage this, definitely the testing team is now jealous that they also want to use the autopilot. So what do we do now? So we need the requirement, and my BA business analyst already ingested this requirement in. I do see a generate test autopilot feature here. Now before that, let's have a quick walkthrough of the application that we are testing out today. So as you can see on my screen in my requirement, that this is the application. So if I go into this application, the welcome page is there. The user is expected to visibly see the product button, click on it, click on loans, go into the apply for a loan application page. Once they have all of their data entered, what they're expecting is, if we go into the expected result, I have captured to save some time 2 screenshots that they will be expecting. If their informations are valid and they are within the range for a loan application, approved. So this is the congress message they're expecting. If it happens to be the case that the loan application is denied, so they're expecting a sorry message because of certain criterias. Now that we know how the application works and what the testing team is expected from this application for a user side, what I will do is to save some time, the AI enhanced capability of the test manager, generate test autopilot feature, I'll click on this. As you can see, very nicely it populates, and I have attached my screenshots and my Word document. Ravneet has already shown a lot of features for it, but just for the testing team as well, we can select and we can also do any valid supported documents which are supported from this add file, various different types, as you can see, like Microsoft Doc or PowerPoint or text, any format that you'd like to attach. If it's a security framework, if you have any testing guidelines, you can add those here, and this will, the autopilot AI capability would consider those factors in. Now I will show you, you have seen those 2 screenshots. You may be surprised that what is this Word document? So what I have done is, I do have my requirements, but if I would be testing it, to flawlessly test it, I want some chronological steps to be followed. And I want autopilot, the AI feature, to consider this, not just test it randomly, right? And I also wanted to follow some browser application features. So I have attached this document over here. But for this prompt, the extra additional steps, I will put those instruction as well into my AI autopilot feature. So let's copy this and go click into next. So as you can see a prompt here, Brian mentioned one thing, that this gives us the opportunity to do a valid end-to-end testing. So let's select that. And as you can see, it automatically, the AI feature populates its prompt instructions to consider for valid end-to-end scenario. So I'll quickly paste my information as well, that I want few other things to consider from my side as well for application opening, any browser or any other instructions that needs to be followed. Perfect. Now I will click on my generate test for the autopilot to do its work. While autopilot is doing its job, I really do not need to sit here and watch it. My manager informed, or my BA, that there is already one requirement set up before test manager came in into my Azure DevOps. So going into Azure DevOps, I see that there is a requirement here and a test case here, and I need to integrate this. As Brian has mentioned, that there are multiple various options for integration. The integration is very easy and it's a very less complicated process, I would say. So from the marketplace, we can enable the UiPath Test Manager, and just by scrolling here, you can see that the extensions test manager is here. From over here, if we go into personal access token, we can generate our token, and go into the requirement. Let's go into a project where we can establish this connection. So under project setting, into the one that I desire to establish this connection, I will go ahead and, as you can see on my screen, that I see the same project name, webinar, as well as over here, demo webinar. So for this webinar purpose, I established this connection just by exchanging, enabling the test manager extension from the marketplace, as well as with the exchange of the API key. Once this is established, I want to confirm that the requirement and the test case got synced, which we saw over into the Azure DevOps, right? So let's confirm that. I'll go into my requirements. Okay, I see a requirement over here, but I'm not sure if this is from Azure DevOps or my BA created it separately, right? Let's go in here. This is disabled. This is not editable. So that's one thing. As well, with this external in tool, open in external tool, within a second, it will just redirect me to my link, which is synchronized with my Azure DevOps. Now, For my test case as well, I saw that in the Azure DevOps, I have a test case. So going into the requirement with the great traceability capability of the test manager, if we scroll down, we see a test case also linked with it. So let's click on the test case. Clicking on the test case again gives a little icon open in external tool, and I can quickly confirm that, okay, both my requirement and my test cases got synced with my integration connection establishment from Azure DevOps to my test manager. I'll click on the UiPath automation for a confirmation because I built my automation in my UiPath Studio and I already published it, for an example, into the test manager. So I see that this is already linked here. However, I want to confirm it again. So going back to my test manager, under automation with the same test case, I can confirm that, okay, perfect. This is all synchronized with each other. So this is how easy it is for the test manager to be integrated with any application lifecycle management tool. So before I jump into the autopilot feature, I will ask Brian if you want to add any other valuable information regarding application lifecycle management tool for our audience today. Brian,
Yeah, I would.
over to you.
Thank you, Yafi. I would simply say that what Yafi just showed here in regards to Azure DevOps can also be accomplished with platform tools like ServiceNow, Jira, other third-party tools that are out on the market. And then in regards to CI/CD, as mentioned beforehand, we have out-of-the-box capabilities with Jenkins, GitLab, and Git Actions. So to that end, Yafi, I'll turn it back over to you, and we can continue moving forward.
Thanks, Brian, for such a valuable information. So yes, referring to that, if anyone wants to do a full CI/CD integration with the help of your solution architect with admin access, with this integration, as well as you can do the CI/CD connection establishment for a full lifecycle management. Perfect. Let's jump into our homework that we gave to Autopilot. So coming back to my Autopilot project, what I will do is I don't need to search here and there. The AI autopilot feature AI enhanced capability in the test manager from UiPath gives me the flexibility to just click on this notification button and I can see that my test cases were generated. Nice. Let's click on this and see what happens. So there are various different types of test cases that got generated. So the AI autopilot feature considers all the factors in the security framework and everything to create all these different types of test cases. Once this is created, we can click on this dropdown and see all the manual steps as well. After confirming all the manual steps for this different types, as Ravneet mentioned, you can regenerate your test cases, clubbing one or two together, or you can cancel if you have forgotten to attach any documents. Now, moving forward, for particularly this demonstration purpose, I will select two test case, and I will go ahead and create the test. Within a second, this will create my test cases, and they are all linked with my requirement. So this is a great traceability over there. As well, if I click on my particular test case, I go into task and I see assign to requirement. I can again confirm that this is automatically selected and synced with my requirement over there. Perfect. Let us cancel. So now that we have generated two test case, how do we use it? How do we automate it, right? So the AI enhanced autopilot capability is more towards the C# code. So if the quality engineers, they want to leverage the C# code with the autopilot feature AI enhanced capability within few minutes to a few seconds and a few hours, they can just generate vast amount of test cases. This is in C# language and this is how it will look like. Let's go ahead and see how the connection works. I don't really need to do anything apart from refreshing. Once I refresh into my test manager, I will be able to see my test cases. I'll just refresh from here as well and give it a moment to synchronize. Perfect. So this has populated those two test cases that I have on my test manager. Now moving forward, what I need to do is I will just click on this button over here, this little icon, not even a button, and click on write test case, create coded test case. So this will create the test case over here. And if you want to have the C sharp language coded generation, so I can just select on all of this up to here and just hit on generate code. Nicely, the AI enhanced autopilot feature will generate this C sharp code language based test cases for me. So as I mentioned, the quality engineer can now leverage this test cases within few seconds and really do testing in a very short span of time. So moving forward, Brian, if you have any more valuable information with the Gen AI capability for our audience today, before I jump into one more magical component, which is the low code automation as well from the UiPath.
Well, I'm going to literally tee you up here because the low code thing is the part that I love the most because, again, it's built for those BAs who don't have those technical capabilities around writing C sharp. So, Yafi, show the low code and then circle back to me, and I'm going to give a big reveal about some of our new Gen AI features that are coming in the very near future.
Awesome. Sure, Brian. Sounds great. So let's go over to our low code automations as well. So over here, what UiPath has in the platform is, as you have seen so far, the test manager. So now we'll be taking a deep dive into the UiPath Studio. So the studio also has some AI feature. It's not only the test manager. For the low code automation, testers having no C sharp knowledge, they may be surprised or coming from manual testing background. For you to make it easy, the UiPath Studio has a built-in computer vision as well as the UI element capturing ability where the descriptors, all elements, all selectors, targets, screen from the application or for the RPA can be captured and created as an object library. How do we create the low code test automation? Let's take a look into here. For that particular application in UI Bank, if we already have a build, let's say from our developer, the XAML file, so from the XAML, just by clicking on write, we can create our test cases very quickly. And this is how a particular test case will look like. Once we have a test case over here, we can do our validation with screenshots. And as I have mentioned about the object repository, which really helps in from the AI enhanced capability inside built into the studio. So if we take a look over here, we can go into manage package from this object library, and I'll show you how many libraries that I have published. So locally you can actually publish a lot of libraries from the object repository just by extracting UI library, and it will be available for your team members to use as a reusable components just by installing or just by upgrading or degrading the versions. So this is a great usability here where it can save a lot of time. Apart from that, once we have the object repository as well as all of our built-in library and the test case, everything is ready now. So with low code automation even, we do need data, right? So where do we get data? That's the question. So for data variations, UiPath Studio has a lot of flexibility. Let's see how. So this is my particular test case, and I can click on this debug, run file with data variations. What is it? Let's take a look. So I have uploaded a CSV format file. You can upload a CSV format, a XLSX file, or many different ones. You can select your data, or you can even select the full section of it. So it's totally up to you how you want to do it. Now, if I right click on it and go to update test data for the demonstration purpose today, what are the options? File is the one where we are uploading our CSV or any other formats that I have created. But if I want to use the data service, UiPath built-in studio feature, it does have this ability. Test data queue creation in Orchestrator, which I will show you in a minute, as well as the auto generate. Right now, I would say that for RPA or for application testing, auto generate to not use it if you're not using the if and switch flow. However, in future, we do have a plan and Brian will talk to it again. But let's see how we can do other testing as well. So as I said, the studio also has a lot of data creation ability. So going into that, if we go further, once we have created all of this, so for this, we will be publishing our package. Once the package is published into the orchestrator, we can execute it from our test manager. Before execution, let's complete one of the test data management, which is also an auto AI feature that the UiPath is offering. So if I come into my over here into my home screen for the marketplace for UiPath. From the platform, I can just go into test data management. Inside the test data management, this will be a nice video over here, which you can watch and download this config file, where with the OpenAI and with the help of Azure OpenAI, you can do an integration. Let's take a quick look into that as well. So this is the UiPath Test Data Management Solution Accelerator. From here, how we can generate is, let me just show you a magic. So if I run, this will generate a prompt where you can create your data schema or your LLM synthetic data creation just by selecting the service that you're integrating with. Once this is completed, how your data will look like is it will create in your output file the data schema, as well as if you have the OpenAI integration, the full CSV or XLSX file. Going back to our cloud in my UiPath platform, so I'll go into my orchestrator, and let's see how the test data queue looks like. So once the JSON schema is created under orchestrator in testing, I can go into test data queue and I can have my JSON schema uploaded, view items. Once the JSON schema is uploaded, I can have bulk data created and upload the file and select as much as possible for consummation and then reset all of this data. So this is a very reusable components for data set to be reutilized if there is multiple testing required. One is that. So from the test data queue, we can leverage this by JSON schema, or even with the LLM prompt, we can generate multiple data sets. It does not end there. The AI capability inside the studio also gives us synthetic generation ability. Going into one of my folder, let's do a fun activity. So on my screen now, you can see a datasheet, which is a CSV file. You may think as a manual tester or coming from any testing background that, okay, this is all needs to be created. That's what we do sometimes before testing a tedious work. But I can avoid this actually. So just remember one or two data from here. I'll close this file because I want my UiPath Studio to use the AI capability to generate this. As you can see, synthetic data generation, and I will execute this file or run this file from my studio. So I'll just make sure that all of my Excel is closed. Always make sure about that before we have any application or any data creation. Okay, just give me one moment and we can take a look into this. I'll just close this application for now. And meanwhile, Brian, if you want to talk about the GenAI capability features, and we can come back to the synthetic data generation, and I'll
Absolutely.
continue from there. Thank you.
No worries at all. So the big reveal that we wanted to be able to highlight was that just like what you saw with the Gen AI feature for coded-based workflow automations, in October of this year, we're actually going to be rolling out a generative AI capability that allows you to be able to do the low code, no code generation. So the workflows and kind of flowchart designs that Yafi was showing you in her studio earlier, you're going to have the ability to be able to take those generated requirements and then right click in the Gen AI feature and then say generate low code, no code workflow. And the system will build that out for you, similarly to what you saw on the coded side. So for any individuals on this call that are interested in low code, no code capabilities, who are BAs, who are subject matter experts that don't have backgrounds in writing C# or Python or Java or things of that nature, in the very near future, you're going to have the ability to be able to do a Gen AI creation of that low code, no code, and then go in and add or subtract from that. But again, the benefit there is that it'll be able to produce 90 to 100% of what it is that you need in your test case generation to save copious amounts of time. So Yafi, I'll turn it back over to you if you're ready.
Sure, I'll just take a minute here to put up my screen, and then we can keep going from there. Thanks, Brian.
But everything else that you've seen from a generative AI perspective is generally available today. Just the low code
Yeah.
piece is still in beta.
And I'll stall some more as Yeffy gets ready. We're going to have, towards the end of the demo, we're going to share our email addresses. So if you want to contact us for future conversations, we'll have our email addresses on display in the chat, either via LinkedIn chat. I think Angie could copy and paste there. And also, as Brian mentioned, October, it's a big time for UiPath. We'll all be attending UiPath Forward, so I'll mention those dates towards the end of the demo. Did I stall enough for you, Yeffy?
Yes, just in a moment. I'm here with my screen. Can you see my screen there?
Yep.
Good to go.
Okay, perfect. So since we are getting an error for the Excel file run and repair tool, that's a different segment from here. However, this usually I never encountered this. So I would say typically how it runs is just by creating this synthetic data, it will auto-populate a full new set of data into the Excel sheet, which we can see. I'll continue the demo from here, and I'll definitely try to come back to the synthetic data generation just at the end if I can troubleshoot meanwhile while we complete the demonstration, and then take it again to showcase so that the interest remains there. But this AI feature really works great for synthetic data generation into a CSV file or any format that we'd like to generate. Now going back into our orchestrator. So in the orchestrator, as you have seen the test data queues, from this design phase, I will now go into the execution and analysis phase. In the execution and analysis phase, I can schedule the tests by myself for execution, or I can go into the test schedule to schedule my execution. How this works is if I go into edit, and you can see that I can select from the drop down all these test sets or test cases that we have created and published into the test manager and select our timing. So how would you understand that this is already scheduled, right? I can just select, click enable, and this is enabled in 1 hour, as you can see. If I want to delete, I can delete or disable this one. So I can schedule my test cases if I'm done for the day, and then the robot will automatically run from the UiPath and the reports will be ready in the morning. Now, from here, as we have said that we are into the analysis and execution phase, let's go back to our test manager and see how we can do it from there. So coming back to the test manager, all executions can be done once the test cases are published into the orchestrator, and it is linked with my automation in the test manager, as you can see over here. After that, I can just create the test cases clubbed together and create a test set. Once the test set is ready, I'll go ahead for execution. Execution can be done from here, as you can see on my screen, as well as coming to the test set. Just by clicking on the test set itself, we can execute it from here as well. After this, what we can do is from the test results, we can view it from test set as well as from the test results. So let's go into a test set if we want to see the results from there directly, right? And we can click execute, automate, or manual. And then if I select one particular test set, I can see that all executions were completed. During the execution phase, if you have a question that how it may look like, this is how your screen will be. As you can see, it has started, and then while it's running, you will be seeing all of this on your screen side. So I've already completed the execution for the purpose of result and insight generation. I want to see my logs. So open a test case. And going into the results into my test cases particularly, which is a day long run back, let's click on here, open execution log. Inside this, I may have a question. Do I get a screenshot or not? Yes, I do. So I can click on this and see in the drop down that the screenshot is also captured as I was expecting for my applicant, right? As well as the data validation, which I have set for it. Now scrolling up, I can go into my logs, which will have all the log details for my manager, as well as the execution details, each data variation sets, the robot that being utilized, the time and variations. From here, I can also have a great traceability with my requirement that was actually set from my Azure DevOps. So all are connected and linked, and a great traceability in the test manager. Now, if I want to have more insights into my test results that I have done, with pass and fail. As you can see, there was one which was failing before. So I want to generate insights. Just by going into this insights, I can create all my insights report, which are very detailed. Over here, you can select your duration that you want to, as well a great feature to download or export your results into the Excel format. Going back to inside, let's take a look deeper dive how the AI is being utilized for a report. So let's click a failed one. And if I click on a failed one, this has all the details breakdown of each test cases, directing to which one has failed, why it has failed, what were the common errors, as well as some recommendations for my developers and testing team to leverage to shorten their time for a rebuild or for re-execution to reset those test cases. Now let's go into a pass and see how that looks like. And the pass one would just have, out of everything, if it's passing, then it will just give you a pass result. Going back to test results again, just for a reason, if you want to rename, in general, it will generate a report like this. As you can see, I have renamed them. So I want to make my manager's life a little easier. I'll click on this dots and rename, and I can just quickly rename them. That's how easy it is for the test manager to create by using AI capability to generate all the insight reports from our test manager. Now, moving on with the dashboard, I would ask Ravneet if you can give us some few overview of the dashboard.
Sure, definitely, Yafi. Thank you so much for an amazing technical deep dive, right? But not only that, Test Manager has an inbuilt dashboard from which you can see the aggregated results of all your executions that have been in the past few days. This could be a great insight for your leadership team. But not only the dashboard, it gives us the two very important parameters as information out here. So as you can see, it displays the total coverage and automation rate, and I'll take a minute to specify that why is it important. Now, for all the testers, as we know that the coverage and the testing coverage is very, very important to us. So that is what it highlights here, total coverage, 100%. That means that all requirements within this project have an associated test case, and all those test cases were actually executed to give us the results shown above in the dashboard. And also the automation rate. So as you could say, it could split us the results in a way that, hey, 85% is automated test case and 15% is manual. So it is a collaborative platform. It could help you with all your manual test cases need as well as the automated test cases need, and it could combine and to give us the insights about our results and execution. And last but not the least feature, which I want to really highlight about Test Manager, is that it would help us. It has the reporting template, so we can actually combine and integrate it with the Power BI, which would give us the test reports, and it would be very very comprehensive test report with has the data from the test manager execution but also from Power BI. So it would be very important and a very good feature so that we can drill down on the execution results, forward it to our leadership team, and also analyze our projects and testing activities. So that's all. And by this we conclude our technical demo on Test Manager, Test Suite, and the AI capabilities. Handing it off back to Lester team for the further steps.
Oh, rookie move. I didn't unmute myself. Thanks a lot, folks, for that. Let's get back into, I'll share my screen. All right. So, like I said, there was a lot to unpack there. Very informative. It's hard to condense so much information within an hour. But I think what we wanted to accomplish and showcase in regards to the AI capabilities was there. But there's more to it. And I think the next slide just indicates if you want to reach out to us, we have our email addresses here. I'm going to ask Angie or the team to copy and paste that information to LinkedIn so people could have access to it. And there's also a survey link. We'd love to, it's just 3 questions. We don't want to bombard you with questions. So if you can click that survey link that will be shared also in the chat, that will be appreciated just to get some information from you and to see what other areas of interest you have for the platform. And obviously, we're going to do a selfish plug in regards to UiPath Forward. It happens every year in October. This year, October 21st to 24th. I believe there's if you purchase prior to July, I think there's a date where you could save $300. So it's coming up. As Brian mentioned, there's new features coming that will be ready and showcased at Forward, and we're going to be all over it once they're released and hopefully present it back to you and share the information back to you on another platform like this. Okay, so I'm going to just ask. I think Angie's on LinkedIn to see if there's any questions, and I'm going to just see if there's any questions on my end that I could pose to the panel. Okay, so actually, I'll put Michael on the spot. Michael, Mike, if you don't mind, we get there's a common question that we get from a lot of our clients, and one of them is, how does an organization determine ROI with a test suite implementation? So if you don't mind answering that for us. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a very common question. And in fact, every time we do a proof of concept or a proof of value, we actually make a business case part of that, so we know what it's worth. We usually go after a known problem that someone has, around tool sprawl or test data management or replacing a deprecated system like Silk Test that we're doing with some prospects now. Look at gaps in your testing and, especially any manual testing, because there's still so much of that out there. Those are usually good candidates. But then we build a business case based on reducing the time it takes to create those test cases, reducing the amount of time it takes to execute those, and we can actually show those results relative to existing tools, and then quantify what the reduced maintenance cost might be from this common repository across production and lower environments, from easier maintainability. And also look at some of the increase in application uptime from having better testing in lower environments. And then also take some benefits from the test case reusability. So we've got a process that kind of wraps all those things together. And we actually make that part of every time we go on site with a prospect to prove it out for them. So they've got a clear indication of what's it going to cost me and what are the benefits.
Perfect. And let me just see if there are questions from Angie. 1 second. Oh, okay. Another question, Mike. I guess we get this a lot, obviously, from clients when we're showcasing this. They're impressed. They want to move forward. But what's the investment look like?
Well, really, we do those on-site proof of concepts. Brian and I come on site, and he works on the technical aspects, and I work on the business case. So, with the appropriate involvement and budget, if you've got a problem that we can quantify, and you can get the budget holder in the meeting for the kickoff on Tuesday morning and the readout on Friday morning, then there's no cost associated with it. So it's, we want to show a very clear path to value for you.
Okay, perfect.
Anything you would add, Brian?
Nope. On point.
Okay, perfect timing. So we made it under the clock. It's great to see. Again, a lot to unpack. There's more to it than the hour that we've just represented. So please feel free to reach out to any of us on this call, or if other folks that you're familiar with in the Greenlight consulting team or UiPath, just to get more information on how to utilize AI within your testing strategy. I want to thank all the speakers for attending and demonstrating this information for us. A lot of prep that was involved in this, and I appreciate the effort. Thank you very much. And everyone that's joining on LinkedIn and Riverside, thank you for joining it and taking the time to listen to what we wanted to share and showcase.